Samsung has been making foldable phones longer than pretty much any manufacturer on the planet. But I feel like over the past few years, they've been treading water a little bit. So let's check out the new Z Fold 6 and the new Z Flip 6 to see what Samsung's cooking up for its next generation. So let's start off with the Z Fold 6. Now, the design is pretty much the same. It is a little bit sharper and it is definitely noticeably lighter in your hand. Samsung says it's 14 grams lighter than the previous generation, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually does make a pretty big difference. Now, you also get a cover screen as before, and then a 7.6-inch interior main flexible screen. And that's pretty much the same size, but there are a couple small tweaks. Now, Samsung says that the exterior screen is about 1 millimeter wider, which doesn't sound like much, but it does make a big difference, especially when you're using that on-screen keyboard. And then on the inside, it's closer to about 3 millimeters wide, which doesn't change the overall 7.6-inch dimensions. But once again, they're making it a little bit wider to give you really a lot more room to work with. Some other small exterior design changes is that instead of your traditional speaker grills, there's more of a slot on top and bottom right here. And then on the back, I'm a little disappointed to say that the 50 megapixel main sensor is the same as what we got on last year's phone. That said, there is a new 12 megapixel ultrawide sensor, and we're looking to see, if that can deliver that much improved quality, but we're gonna have to wait for a full review to really find out. Now, of course, as we saw earlier this year with the S24 launch, there's gonna be a whole new bunch of AI-powered features. Now, a lot of these are similar to what we saw in the Galaxy S24, so we're talking about stuff like Note Assist, Chat Assist, and a lot of web summaries, Google's Circle to Search, and a lot of other summarization AI-powered features. Now that's all well and good, but there are some more interesting ones. And so there's a couple new photo features, one of them which is called Sketch to Image. And that allows you to take a photo of yourself, or anything else really, and then you can take the stylus, which of course it is stylus supported again, and you can draw stuff like sunglasses, or a crown, or like a basketball, right on the photo, and then the AI will use whatever you sketched to generate something, that looks a little bit more professional. You can also just straight up sketch an image, like I tried sketching a fish, and even though I'm awful at drawing, it actually somehow understood my crappy line drawing, and it turned into, hey, a decent picture of a fish, and you get some options to select, different variations. So if you don't like the first one, you can scroll through and see if something else fits your taste. There's also a couple other features, so you can take a photo and then generate kind of a motion photo using AI from that still image, which is pretty nice. Samsung also tweaks the slow-mo feature that we saw in the S24, so it's a little bit easier to use. So you can just open up a video, tap and hold to start the slow-mo, and then you can save it right on the spot, instead of having to go into the edit settings, which was kind of a pain in the ass and actually kind of difficult to find if you didn't know where you were looking. One other really nice thing that I like to see is Samsung has improved the brightness on both the outside and the interior screens, with a peak brightness of up to 2600 nits. That's exactly what you get on the standard S24 series, so it's nice to see some parity coming from the standard candy bar flagships to its foldable phones as well. And then on the inside, we're talking about a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip, 12 gigs of base RAM, and a whole range of storage options. Another thing that I do appreciate is Samsung has also noticed that gamers kind of appreciate the big screen form factor of the Z Fold series, and so they've installed a new larger vapor chamber on the inside, to help keep thermals in check. So that's really cool. And there's also a new range of colors. We're talking pink, navy, and the hero color is that silver shadow. There's also a couple exclusive colors available to Samsung.com, which is white and crafted black, which kind of has a carbon fiber vibe, but once again, you'll need to go on Samsung's website to get that. Next, let's move on to the Z Flip 6, which arguably might be the more improved phone of Samsung's two new foldables. Now, similar to the Z Fold 6, it does use Samsung's enhanced armor aluminum, which Samsung says is about 10% more durable than before. And also, just like the Z Fold 6, the interior main screen now has the peak brightness of 2600 too, just like the S24. That said, peak brightness on the outside still isn't quite as high, but we'll take what we can get. Another really nice change that I like to see is that the battery is now 4,000 milliamp hours, which is the same as you get on the base S24, and so that's really nice to see. Once again, some parity coming over from Samsung's traditional flagship phones to the foldable line. But perhaps the biggest upgrade are the Z Flip 6's two new cameras. That's because Samsung is giving it the 50 megapixel main sensor and the 12 megapixel ultrawide sensor right from the base S24. So once again, more parity from the standard line. And that's really awesome because I've heard a number of complaints, especially on older Z Flips, that just the photography just wasn't up to snuff. So I'm going to be really interested to test that out and see if they can finally compare to not just other foldables like the Moto Razr, but your standard canopy phones, especially because they've always kind of lagged behind. And like I said, that's something that I kind of wish we saw on the Z Fold 6. Of course, the Z Flip 6 is not immune to Samsung's influx of AI-powered features, so we're getting stuff like interpreter mode, which is available on both phones, and you can even do the dual screen thing, so if I can talk here, someone on the other side can kind of see what I'm saying in real time. That's always super nice. There's also a new AI-powered portrait feature, so it will automatically kind of zoom depending on how many people are in the frame. The delay is a little bit, so it's it takes 1 or 2 seconds to recognize and then respond to hey, people moving in and out of frame, or you moving forward and back. But it is pretty nice, especially because you can prop the phone up on a table and kind of use it as like a built-in tripod. So it's nice to see those features come, especially if they're more usable. They feel really usable on something like the Z Flip 6. Samsung has also improved the amount of widgets that you can add onto the main screen, so you can have up to 4 widgets on the exterior screen at the same time. And there's also some more fun stuff like an ambient wallpaper mode. There's one with a little doggy, kind of falls down, you can touch it. Great time waster, or just if you're bored at your desk, you can tap on it for a little fun. There's also a new AI-powered texting feature that will read some of your previous responses, so it can give you a more informed reply, especially a quick reply. So if you're walking around town, you see someone text you, and you don't want to spend a ton of time texting them back. So it's basically kind of a better version of smart replies, but powered this time with AI. Now inside, you're still getting a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor, but Samsung has actually bumped up the RAM to 12 gigs base, which is up from 8 on the previous model. That's always nice to see, especially because, hey, I know it's more of a fashion-forward phone, but you still want the phone to feel super fast and not hampered, even though it is a little bit smaller. And then Samsung has gone even further in terms of colors for the Z Flip 6. So you still get that hero color, the silver shadow, but there's also yellow, blue, and my favorite, which is this mint. It just looks super fresh. And of course, there's also some Samsung inclusives, which include crafted black, white, and peach. Now, one piece of bad news is that both phones are actually $100 more expensive than the previous model. So that means the Z Fold 6 starts at $1,900, and the Z Flip 6 starts at $1,100. I know inflation has just been running rampant across pretty much everything right now, but it really hurts me to see, because kind of the promise of these, Samsung being one of the oldest foldable phone manufacturers is that, they can leverage the economy scales to bring the price of these things down. And especially when we just saw Motorola come out with the new Razr, and even the flagship model Razr starts at $1,000, it just hurts to see that Samsung is going to be a little bit more on the expensive side. But of course, a lot of this depends on how well these features and the new cameras really stack up. So we're going to really want to test them thoroughly before we can make a decision either way. But that's all we have here today about Samsung's new foldables for its 6th generation at Unpacked. For more, as always, check out Engadget.com and stay tuned for more news, reviews, and hands-ons.